Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to be getting into game number 2 between LucifroN and VortiX, the Spanish Armada team kill. As is custom by the looks of things in every tournament they choose to enter, the brothers are of course meeting in the semi-finals here at the Vasacast Invitational. Map number 1 was won on Ohana by LucifroN, with a really nice late-game mech composition, but mainly through lovely mid-game Banshee harass that forced a lot of energy out of VortiX's infestors, and also managed to kill a decent number of them off. We're now going to be going into Daybreak, though, so let's see if VortiX can turn the tables and bring it to 1-all. Are we going to see a game number 3 here in the semi-finals, or are we actually going to see a 2-0 sweep for our Terran hero? Let's find out and get into the game. Welcome to Daybreak, ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. He is currently 1 game up, going into game number 2. He just needs one more to close it out. Can he actually do it? We'll find out in a bit. Representing Karante Esports, we have LucifroN. And in the top right-hand corner, spawning as the yellow Zerg player. Incredibly formidable, extremely talented, but 1 game down and on the verge of being knocked out of this tournament by his brother. What will he be able to do here, and can he mount the comeback? It begins now. It is Karante's VortiX. Alright guys, so like we mentioned in the previous game, because these guys practice with each other so unbelievably often, we typically see games where you go to a ridiculously long macro game, or you simply have a lot of cheese coming out because they know their strategies inside out. So they either play super standard and say, right, well, whoever wins this, fair enough, or they go cheesy and try and catch their opponent off guard. Game number 1, we saw a completely standard macro game, and I would not be surprised to see it again in game number 2 at all. These guys, of course, have a lot of respect for each other, because if they didn't, they probably wouldn't be the best brothers on the planet, admittedly. But they seem to be doing all right so far, and VortiX just needs to really deal with the Banshees from LucifroN a bit better. This map as well is a pretty decent one for Banshees. There's a lot of dead space right here behind the main base. We can see behind the natural and the not so much, but around the third base there are nice little areas for Banshees to come in. So a LucifroN might be able to make that work here. And the drone actually going to be getting up into the main base and sees that LucifroN is going for a command center first. A little bit of Mortal Kombat going on here in the middle of the map. And it looks like the drone at the moment is winning the fight, so the SCV needs to be very, very careful indeed. And the drone's going to be able to follow him inside the base. The drone actually stopping there to try and see if he can bait out some more SCVs, and he will be able to do so. LucifroN, though, not going to be phased by it. A new SCV should be able to repel that, as we have the pool now going down for VortiX as well. And there's not too much other than this that's pretty exciting out on the map right now, guys. So here's a worker chasing a worker. But jokes aside, the command center first, of course, is going to be a very eco-centric build here for LucifroN. He's going to be able to get that double orbital command out sooner than he did in that last game, where he went for a 1 Rax expand. Not by too much, but enough that it makes a small difference. He, of course, will have to float the command center over here, but this is after he has the energy from that mule. So it will be worth about just a little bit of minerals to him, and that's going to help him every little bit he can, because he wants to try and close this out 2-0 and not have to go into a tiring game number 3. And we can see the scouting SCV being harassed by these 2 Zerglings here. He might be able to make it home without dying. He's certainly going to try, but the Zerglings are taking a couple more swipes at him, and it looks like this SCV, unfortunately, is on a little bit of a fated journey one way to the scrapyard. This is really, really sad times. Mommy, don't leave me! But unfortunately, this Zergling will be able to get him around the watchtower location. So that worker is no longer going to be playing a part in this game. In the meantime, though, LucifroN has actually gone for an even faster 3rd command center. So he's playing very, very eco-centric here. You can tell that these players are perfectly comfortable with each other, of course, going into a long macro game. And LucifroN wants to get every little edge he can, playing significantly more eco-centric than he did in that last game, which he won, of course. And he's going to try and see if he can squeeze out an even bigger advantage going into the mid-game here. Note the map vision at the moment, guys. Because the factory's only just gone down and the reactors on the barracks only just now, look at LucifroN's map vision. He doesn't even have vision of this ramp. He hasn't held either watchtower at the moment. VortiX has complete command of the map right now, and he knows that his brother is just going to be sitting back and macroing because there's no prodding coming in whatsoever. He hasn't seen even a hint of a unit pop out from LucifroN just yet. He can therefore assume that a really, really big macro build is coming. And look at this. If that isn't big, what is 3 factories simultaneously? So let's see if we're going to go straight into siege tanks and siege mode, or if we want to do some interesting shenanigans involving Blue Flame. Siege, of course, would be a pretty solid option, but Blue Flame is still a possibility here for LucifroN. Let's see if he chooses to mix it up a little. Double Evo Chamber coming out now from VortiX, and a decent block with the Queens as well. Should be able to space them out a little bit more. And we have got some more creep spread popping down at the bottom here. Just going to be laying a couple more down, and he will be able to get that going into the middle of the map. I like how he saved 1 creep tumor as well to connect the natural on the 3rd. That's going to be so important, sending units down here to defend against this kind of thing. Marines now inside the bunker at the front of LucifroN's base. We have the SCVs going to be building those supply depots to complete the wall off. And we have an SCV going to try and scout out into the middle of the map. This Zergling actually could make that really frustrating for him, but deciding instead to continue to hold the watchtower. And 2 Hellions are going to be on their way over to VortiX's base on the southern side of the map. The watchtower has seen it, though, as VortiX's 3rd now completes. And we've got tanks now starting up for LucifroN, so going into mech composition once again. I mean, why fix what isn't broken at the end of the day? He's taken the offensive watchtower position as well, which is going to be very annoying for these creep tumors, because they're going to want to try and expand, and these 2 Hellions might be able to pick a couple of the active ones off. A second pair of Hellions are coming out now as well, but VortiX, and there we go, that's a creep tumor being picked off right there. But it looks like the ones up north, are they actually going to get down? Good cancel there. And is this one going to... Yes, that one actually gets picked off as well. So only a single active creep tumor remaining. This is exactly what these Hellions want to do right now. There are a decent number of Queens out of the natural, probably not something those Hellions want to mess with, and there are a couple of roaches in the 3rd base location with no drones mining, specifically because VortiX knows that LucifroN might be sending those over. So really cool decision making from him here, and VortiX now is pumping out roaches like there's no tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. He has a lot of them coming up, just hovering inside his main base at the moment, not wanting to reveal how many exactly he has right now. He'll be sending a small group of them to the watchtower to clean out these Hellions, and one of them is going to be going down to the 3rd base and will be met with a face full of roach. This is not going to be a pleasant situation for LucifroN at all. That Hellion gets right the heck out, as he should, and he needs to be very careful. In the meantime, though, we have Ventral Sacs coming out now, and Pneumatized Carapace from VortiX, so it looks like roach drops are going to be the order of the day here on Daybreak. Let's see if he can use that to try and defeat the mech army of his opponent. We've seen it used yesterday, I believe, day 1 of the Vasacast Invitational. We had a lovely TVZ where roach drops on top of the mech army. I believe the map was Cloud Kingdom. Proved to be fatal for the Terran player. Can VortiX try and use that to bring this series back to 1-1, though? That looks like what he's going to be doing off of 3 base here. We can see Saturation now completing at the 3rd base location. More creep tumors coming down as well to see if he can get wind of impending attacks that much earlier. Number of roaches now out on the field, 20 and counting, with 10 more on the way. These Hellions are going to try and pop back into the 3rd base to see what damage he can do. Let's see what will happen there. In the meantime, a second armory, I want to say, is now coming down for LucifroN, so he can get those mech upgrades significantly faster than he otherwise would. We already have Thors mixed in with the army composition, and roaches are going to absolutely demolish these Hellions and prevent them from getting into the 3rd base. So really nice denial here from VortiX of any sort of pressure from LucifroN. The current worker supply is 68 for our Terran player and 63 for the Zerg. And here come the Overlords. They're going to be moving out towards the offensive watchtower here before the roaches pick up. LucifroN has no idea this is happening because the only map control he has relies on these 4 Hellions, and there are 2 Queens here to try and deny this as well. And let's see how much damage can get done. This Overlord sees exactly where the mech army is, and VortiX is going to move in straight towards a 3rd base location, and LucifroN has no idea. Thor now finally shooting, and here we go. We have the army being dropped on top of the mech army of LucifroN. This is going to be VortiX's kill move. Will he be able to pull it off? But so much splash damage coming in from the tanks. It looks like it's not possible. The tanks are spread way too well, and VortiX, ladies and gentlemen, bungles that attack. Excellent. excellent siege tank spread by LucifroN there, and he wins 2-0 over his brother.